Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Thursday, the September 4th of 2025. So, what are we talking about today? I'm talking about how we're molding and shaping our youngsters. And, you could be a father, you could be a grandfather, you could be an uncle, you know, what have you. Even a stranger, you can also mold somebody the way they need to be molded. Stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Thursday, September 4th of 2025. So what am I talking about? Molding and all this other stuff. I'm talking about, doing the right thing even when people aren't looking. Because optics is everything, and the more you do it the right way, the more it will become second nature. See, the way I look at things is, especially with kids are the outcome from whether it's good parenting or bad parenting. I mean, I've watched parents say one thing and then go do something else and then wonder why the kid is screwed up. And the kid's not screwed up, it's trying to figure out, you're saying one thing and you're doing something else, and that's not right either, right? So, one of the things that I tried to do when my kids were young is also show them the proper way to do things, whether it's opening the door for their mom or someone at the supermarket, being gracious, gratitude. And I kind of ingrained it in their heads. And I used an example my daughter brought it up the other day. She said that you told us, Dad, I don't care if somebody shits in a box, wraps it all up and gives it to you, that when you open that up, even though you see shit in the box, tell them thank you and then get rid of the box. And why should you say thank you? Because they took time out of their day to think of you, for one, and they didn't get a reaction that they were hoping for. So they got taught a learning lesson as well, right? They expected full blown hysteria and being pissed, and you weren't. You just said thank you. I know that's extreme, but that's how I taught my kids a lot of things, was by extreme measures. Right down to when the internet was just starting to come on, and I would tell my kids that if you don't know that person that is either in your class or something like that, treat everybody you don't know as a 50 or 60-year-old fat bald guy trying to perpetrate and be somebody that they're not. And that's, my kids would not take on a lot of friends that they didn't know because of that reason. And that made me feel safer, because there, even to this day, there's so many people preying on our young kids. So you need to teach them by example and with words. And I found in life that people don't learn very much if it's words of anger. Once you get to the point of where your anger level is starting to build, as far as I'm concerned, the conversation is over. I mean, that's even adult to adult, right? So if the conversation starts elevating, the first thing I see is either if the arms get crossed in the front, that means they're not listening to you, that they've signed off a while ago. That why are you even having that conversation? Because you're not going to get any results from anger. You may get another result of another angry person, where you're both not listening. And you can scream and holler at each other all you want, but neither one of you are listening. Because you've gone 2 levels up too much. If you want the best conversation, it needs to be the same tone that you would talk in a loving way. If you're trying to convey how you feel to somebody else, you need to do it in a loving way, with your arms open, and you can talk with your hands like I do, but anger will kill every conversation you have. And just don't take my word for it. Just look back over the time that you've been on this earth and when you were angry and trying to explain to somebody, did they hear you? And actually, there were times when people were angry and tried talking to you. What did you hear? You didn't hear squat, did you? Because you signed off. Yet many people still try to do that. I've seen a lot of parents get angry with their kids and go in and scream and holler and everything like that and think that somehow they're getting their point across when the kids signed off a long time ago. But you're teaching them that being angry at their children is normal. You can be disappointed with a child, but you should never get to a feverish pitch with your child, grandchild, niece, nephew, friends, kids. If you want to make it a teachable moment, then you need to set the stage, per se. And that goes for when you're running the shop, the expectations you have on your employees. Don't tell them one thing and then go do something else, because it just causes confusion of what do we do? Do we do as he says, or do we do what he's friggin' doing? Make up our minds for us. It does. It leads to confusion. You need to figure out what it is you want, and then figure out how to get it across to the people that matter. If they're employed by you, the easiest way is to sit down and do it together. Make it an exercise. How do we do this? Have it so that everybody has input on it. Nobody should get ridiculed for a thought of how to do things, because each one of us are different. Or told they're stupid. That'll never happen. Words matter. Whether it's talking to your employees, whether it's talking to your customers, or whether it's talking to your kids or grandkids, words matter. They will hear certain words and get a different meaning from it. So, when you have the ability to have a teachable moment with people, do it the right way. Show them and model for them the way it should be done. I've been pretty consistent for most of my life. The only thing that's happened with me is people can't get me or get at me or get me flustered as easy as they used to. And I never would show if somebody got me, I wouldn't outwardly express it, because I didn't want them to know they got me. Because I was told that if they knew they got me, they would just continue heckling me if they thought it bothered me. So the best thing to do was to let it go. Don't let it bother you, and move on. And I've kind of lived my life that way. And it's worked pretty well. it's common decency. Try to help whoever you can help. Be that person that stands along with your friends and family. And do it for the right reasons. You could have sucked at all of this up until this point in time. Does that mean that you can change? Absolutely. But it comes from wanting to change. Are you getting back what you hoped to up until this point? And if the answer is yes, then maybe your techniques are better than mine, or even equal. If it's working, that's great. But if it's not, here are some thoughts to try to make it better that way. And again, it all starts, you can start a whole new day just this morning and this point on, and forget your past. Your past, you can't change your past, right? And you can't predict what the future is. All you can control is the here and now. So you need to figure out how to, one, enjoy the here and now. What will make it enjoyable? Avoid negative things that bother you. And find what brings you pleasure. Pretty easy. You know, I'm a very simple person where money does not sway me either way. And thinking I need a gazillion friends, no. I'd rather have a couple good true friends than I would a million friends that could just are friends because they want to be a friend with you, right? But the other thing that I was told when I was brought up was pick your battles. What battle do you want to die on? What hill do you want to die on? Is it worth dying on that hill for this battle? And I instilled that in both of my kids, and I started doing it with my grandkids. When they're starting to get angry with somebody else, I said, are you willing to die on this hill? Because you need to pick your battles. And if you're fighting little battles, fighting little wars, you're too wiped out to handle the big one when it comes along. So you need to pick which one you feel is worth fighting for and which one is worth dying for. And if you're having a conversation with a best friend that you've had a spat with, do you continue it and pick your battle? Or do you make amends, try to find common ground, and move on and save your strength for the battle and the war? It's pretty simple. You only have so much time on this earth and the people around you. And as you get older, your friends start passing on and moving on, and your friends get smaller and smaller, right? So today, give that some thought. I know it's kind of deep, but it's not. It's really pretty right there at the surface. Anyone can change how they've been doing things for years. And most often the problem was nobody has ever taken the time to show them, to show you how to change and why it's important to change and why it's important to pick your battles and what hill you want to die on. It's going to be a short video today, but still sick. So in the comments, what are your thoughts? What do you remember being, as a kid, being brought up? Did you listen when your parents were angry at you? Or when they were giving you a big hug and stuff like that and telling you stuff? I learned more from the hugs and the tone down here. I never learned anything from the anger other than feeling like my father at times hated us. And he didn't, but that was the point that was coming across. So on that note, you guys have a great Thursday, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for another day of the weekday. Enjoy.